I'm not gonna lie. I didn't have a lot of interest in seeing this movie. I mean, it's based off a kid's book. It stars Owen Wilson and Julia Roberts. It's about a kid with a messed up face and people being mean to him. It looked like a TV movie and a typical tearjerker. Now, I avoid movies like this for a couple of reasons. One reason, I think they manipulate you, and I don't know, they don't usually have a lot of artistic merit or truth to them. Also, I'm actually kind of a sucker for them. I very easily fall for a lot of the tropes in a sad movie or a movie that's about, just conflict with everyday life, people being picked on, or the underdog and stuff like that. It's easy for me to root for that in a movie. Not that I'm really an underdog. I've never really I wasn't bullied or anything really in life, but I don't know. I always I feel like I like the misfit characters and things. John Hughes, that was kind of the appeal of him, wasn't it? That it wasn't just cool kids or like typical movie star people that he would spend time with. He would actually spend time with people that felt like real three-dimensional characters, like Cameron, and that really kind of made something special. He could turn something that was a trope, like a buddy road movie, into a very humanist experience where two people grow together. The only reason I went to go see this was that it was directed by Stephen Chbosky, who is the writer director of Perks of Being a Wallflower, the book and the movie. And I'm a fan of that book and that movie. Now, it's a YA book, but by that standard, I think it's a very good one. Also, saying that, I really like how he directed the movie and he directed actors and how restrained it all was. There was some stuff I didn't like, but for the most part, I was very impressed with him as a filmmaker. He's kind of had a weird screenwriting career since that. He worked on the Beauty and the Beast movie and a couple other things I really wasn't a fan of. But this is only his second film. If there's a criticism I have out the bat compared to his first film is that this film's a lot less visually pleasing. I thought Perks had pretty good location shooting and nice cinematography, and and it was a low budget movie, but it looked really good. And they shot it in Pittsburgh. This film, on the other hand, does kind of have this flat TV look about it, unfortunately. That I don't know if it benefits or takes away, but it's just upsetting. I think he probably could have done a little bit more visually, just with even the lighting. There really wasn't much with the lighting and any of that. I mean, I that was the upsetting part, was the lighting. Really, the camera work didn't bother me so much because, whatever. It's that kind of movie. It's a small movie, but that's a nitpick, I guess, or something. I'm not sure how to feel about it. It kind of was weird. But directing isn't just making a good looking movie that's pretty, it's also telling a story, handling actors, creating flow and a pace and tone and all those things. And those are the really difficult things that's what separates really good films from bad films a lot of the time, not just visuals. So his his filmmaking here, I thought was, I got to give him credit. This is his second movie, and I really I like this movie quite a bit. I mean, I don't love it, and I don't think it's a great movie. Do not get me wrong. I think the third act kind of hurts it, and in particular, it has these characters show up near the third act that I think just hurts so much of the movie. But having said that, this movie surprised me. And I did get very emotional watching this movie several times. Several times. Things. I mean, I don't know if I was crying, but I got pretty emotional. I mean, I was definitely really upset or happy in some scenes. It's not always that it makes you sad. Sometimes it makes you really happy. It's sweet. See, the message of this movie, and it's a simple one. It's not trying to be anything more than what it is, which is another thing I respect about it. Is you shouldn't spend so much of your time being a jerk to people all the time, or wanting to be right. The premise is it's better to be kind than right. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think sometimes it's better to be right than being kind. But the movie, to its credit, actually shows you examples of these things. So you think it's just going to follow this kid Augie that has this thing with his face, and he's smart and he's cool and he's going to school for the first time and he was homeschooled up until this point. And it kind of goes down that path, but then the narrative goes to the sister and then to another kid, and then someone else, and then they tell multiple stories, and it's not really just Augie's story, and it's also how he affects other people, and even how it brings negatives to their lives. Like, he's not just a positive thing. Like, his sister feels like she gets ignored because of her brother, and other people in their life. I mean, that's what really impressed me. Like, I thought it was just going to be, and Perks of Being a Wallflower did this to his credit, and this is based off a different book, but in Perks it kind of really fleshed out a lot of the characters. Here, that same thing kind of happens. He uses narration and just different perspectives to kind of world build, and you slowly kind of get a sense of history and time with these people. And I was surprised by that. And then really honest dialogue, like the parents saying really honest, truthful stuff and doing real parenting, and not just like coddling the kid and all that. Like, they challenge him. And Jacob Tremblay got a lot of acclaim for Room, and it was completely justified. But this just like solidifies that he's like amazing in this. It's just like one of those great performances because he's got all that makeup on and he brings so much to it. I mean, he's just a little movie star. I really have no criticisms of him. I think he's terrific all around as an actor at this age. I don't know if he'll always be, but he's great right now. Um, Casting Owen Wilson as a dad is the most genius thing ever. It's so freaking inspired. Like, Owen Wilson hasn't had a role that's really suited him in a long time, and this is, I'd say, borderline just like a brilliant choice to make him like the cool dad. It's one of his best performances in years, and it has a lot to do with the casting. It's just perfect for him. And I'd say 3 or 4 scenes in this are really good with him. And it's like, oh wow, this is the most I've liked Owen Wilson in a while. Julie Roberts is good, but I think Owen Wilson's kind of the revelation in that aspect. Some people are probably going to dislike a lot of the preaching and message stuff in this. It's about like the art and drama, and it's got a black guy dating a white girl, which I don't care about, but it's things like that. Like, there's a gay kid in the class. It's about acceptance all across the board, like homosexuality, race, all that stuff. But believe in art and drama and all that stuff. So there's those elements too. They don't overdo it, but that stuff's in the movie. Now, that doesn't bother me because I like theater and I like black women, so I don't really care. But but that's how it's one of those kinds of movies. Like, it's trying to tell you, like, accept everyone, love everyone all the time, and some people get annoyed with that because they think they don't really need to be told that because, like, well, duh. But that's not the only theme in the movie. The theme in the movie that's given some depth is showing you that, you make choices in life where you can do something that um, you know, suits you and makes your life maybe easier, but something else you could do could make a lot of other people happier, and you could affect a lot more people and just have a better life if you weren't a jerk all the time. And as someone who's a jerk all the time, it does kind of hit home. I think that's why this was powerful to me. It's a very cynical world now. And a lot of the movies are telling you that, everything's bad and nihilistic and hopeless. And this movie is saying that it's not hopeless, that if you work hard to grow as a person, and you are able to forgive people and even work things out, and just not be so judgmental and all that, which is once again obvious stuff, but it's how it's done. It's just very well done. I really like that the movie says you'll probably be a lot happier if you spend your time doing good things and being nice to people and working on that instead of being negative all the time. It does go over the top by the end, but the first act is so restrained and realistic for a lot of it, and the performances are so real. There was just an honesty here that was also in Perks of Being a Wallflower, so I have to give a lot of credit to the director. Paul King was going to direct this at one point, who did Paddington, and is a terrific filmmaker in my opinion. And Paddington 2 apparently has this exact same theme, so that's a little odd. Like, apparently it's all about that, like, just, pure optimism and being like, hey, this is how you should treat other people, and kindness goes a long way. Um, so I would have liked to have seen him make this. I think he's probably a better director, but they may have just had a good script, and I know Chbosky came in and rewrote it, but it's just a solid foundation. There's a lot here that works. Maybe this was in the book. I didn't read the book. Maybe I didn't give enough credit. But the multiple points of views it's a really clever way to give every character backstory and motivation. So it doesn't just feel like a cliche movie you've seen 100 times, because it really is one of those movies. But it's because they go that extra step to flesh things out. So when they get to the tearjerker emotional scenes that are there to, like, just pull your heartstrings, they feel earned, because you just kind of know everyone a little bit. It really works well as a drama. It's got these fantasy scenes where he like sees Chewbacca, and he's a spaceman, and they kind of feel random. They feel like they're from a kid's like picture book. But this film at its best is really mature and wise about a lot of things. And I thought it would be more. I honestly I just thought it'd be a crappier movie in general. But I think it's a very well made movie, and I get why it's a hit and made 150 million worldwide, and I get why audiences like it. And yeah, it's a mom movie, it's a chick flick, but those aren't always bad. It doesn't mean it has to be like a bad movie. There's a lot of stuff here. I just think it's a good dialogue. It was entertaining. It's funny. It's really funny actually, and it's moving, and it's well put together. It's well paced. It doesn't really drag that much. I think that's the thing about it. It's just it all comes together really well to be a really enjoyable movie that you could see yourself watching with your kids, or you could see yourself watching with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, what have you, or you could see yourself just watching with all sorts of people. It's just one of those movies that kind of transcends, and it's because it has such a simple message that they give such clarity, and they stay focused on that the movie has focus. It doesn't try to do a bunch of stuff like a lot of movies do today. They try to like cram like 1,200 ideas into one thing. This movie just does one idea, and it says, "Hey, check this out." And I really like that approach with it, and I thought it was a very rewarding experience, and it surprised me. And I know I'm reviewing this late, and it's been out, and a lot of people that have are subbed to me and have talked to me and said they didn't really like it much, and my niece didn't like it much, and a lot of people. I know critics seem to like it, so I don't know what the deal is with this movie. I guess it just affects some people differently with what it does, but I found it to be, I don't know, really good. I think what he did with being a teenager in Perks, which I felt was very John Hughes at its best, I feel like he's doing that here with Childhood. And I'm just a fan of stuff like The Wonder Years or My So-Called Life, or I think it was My So-Called Life, or Freaks and Geeks. I just like those kind of shows. This movie really kind of has that naturalism to it. It kind of has that nice thing with the kids talking and all that and communicating. It's really refreshing. I think it's why a lot of people like the new Spider-Man movie, and maybe that's where the divide is too. But I enjoyed this. Arbitrary rating is a 7.5 out of 10.